Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I have another update for the books that I read in April and May. And we're doing 2 months this time because I got a bit caught up with having too many things to do at the end of April, beginning of May. Plus I didn't read that many books, so I thought it made sense to just lump them all together and do them now instead of giving you a video talking about 1 or 2 books. So let's start. First book that I read was, what was the name again? The Horse Dancer. I was thinking The Horse Whisperer, but that was not right. The Horse Dancer by Jojo Moyes. I think we all know her from mainly I think the Me Before You series, but she's definitely written a couple of books that are quite well known. This one I didn't really know very well or much about, so it was on my list. It's been on my list for a really long time, my TBR in Goodreads, and I've just kind of been going through the list from okay, what's been on here the longest and adding a few of those to my TBR for the year, this being one of them. It's a cute book, as in it's about two grown-ups, I wanted to say, 2 adult people that are getting divorced, but for some reason this girl ends up in their life, and this girl has a huge passion for horses, which kind of came from her grandfather. There is this academy in France that is big in horses and working with your horses, doing performances, making horses do all these weird tricks, that type of thing, and they end up being responsible for this girl, and a lot happens around that. I don't want to give away too much, but it was a nice book. It kind of teaches you a lot about, I guess, love and how having similar goals and communicating in general can help your relationships in a certain way. I don't know how to explain this properly, but anyway, it was a nice enough book, although I'm just not a horse person, and there were quite a few chapters that were really specifically focused on what the horse could do and how the horse could do it, which actually it still kept me captivated enough to keep reading and kind of want to learn and know. But at the same time, I'm just not a horse person. So I ended up giving this book 3 stars. I did enjoy it. It was bigger than it had to be, I feel like. It definitely took me a little while to get through it. According to my stats, it's the only book that I finished in April. I feel like there were 2 and I may not have marked one of them properly date-wise, but according to Goodreads, this is the only book I read in April. It took me a little while to get through it. It's not the thinnest book either. I read it on a Kindle, so I cannot really show you, but yeah, that's that one. Then after that, I read Flowerheart, also on Kindle. And this was a really cute book. It was about this witch that has specific powers, but she's having a little bit of trouble controlling them properly, and that's giving her a hard time. The book starts off with the question whether maybe her powers need to be taken away because it's just not safe in a lot of cases. And she ends up connecting with an old friend who's trying to help her get over the obstacles and being able to control her magic. It was really cute. There's a lot of flowers. Her power for some reason just makes flowers grow all over the place, so definitely a nice read for spring, summertime in that sense. The timeline didn't make sense to me though, because she's been spending years struggling, working with different teachers, trying to help her control her magic. And then her friend and her have a couple of weeks to fix everything. It's a happy ending book, so you kind of know that things are gonna be fine, but if people have been struggling for years and then in a couple of weeks all of a sudden it's something that can be fixed, and that's not really realistic. But being able to sprout flowers all across the place probably isn't realistic either. I did enjoy the book though. I liked the storytelling and just the type of magic that was happening in it, so I did give it 4 stars. Then I read Lost Coast Literary. This is a book about a woman who works in publishing, is kind of at the bottom of the ladder, quit a better paying job to go do that because it was really her passion, and then she gets a letter that or a phone call, I think, that her grandmother passed away and she inherited this really big mansion, but she has to go there to like get some stuff sorted, and there are a couple of manuscripts that she has to edit. Like that's part of the grandma's will. She starts editing like the first manuscripts, and all of a sudden she sees the things that she's editing starting to play out in real life. So that's an interesting one as well. And the book is kind of about like how certain things are meant to happen, how it's good to stand up for yourself, find your own truths, that type of thing. I thought it was really cute. There is a kind of a family getting back together type of thing as well. They've been estranged, her mother passed away, and she's got certain memories about everything that happened, but she was a kid. So along the road, she's learning that maybe her memories weren't exactly true, and being back where it all happened kind of makes her remember certain things that were stored differently in her head for some reason. So that's that one. I did give that one 4 stars as well because I thought it was a really cute read. Then I read another book called Garden Spells. Again, one involving like fruits and herbs and cooking. This girl is really good at cooking. She has a catering business, but also they've got a special garden. She inherited the house. There's a lot of inheriting happening here from her grandma, and the garden is special because some of the foods in the garden, if you combine them in the same or in the right way, or like prepare them in certain ways, they will help people with certain problems, or they can make you fall in love, or they can like those type of things. Their mother used to be one to always travel across the US, kind of trying to run away from something, and there's 2 sisters. One of them kind of turned into their mother, also traveling across the US, running away from certain things, and the other one stayed put and stayed in the routines of like doing the catering, just being she's like by herself all the time, trying to make sure that she's not like creating too many big waves, just trying to do her own thing. And there's a new neighbor that comes to town, of course, and the sister that's traveling around has to come back home because of a specific reason. And again, this ends up being like sisterly bonding, getting out of your comfort zone, learning that it's okay to like not, how do you say that in English? Number yourself away. That's Dutch, right? Like not put yourself somewhere in the background. Like you're allowed to live, basically. It was a really cute book again as well. And then I got a phone call and I kind of lost what I was talking about. But I did give the book 4 stars. I've been loving reading books like with gardens and flowers and all those type of things. I'm kind of trying to stick like spring reads. I've been trying to figure out what spring reads are to me, because spring, like I know wintry time, I've got my Christmas books. Fall time, it's all the cozy, witchy, bookish, like that type of theme. Summertime, you've got your beach reads, summer reads, those type of things. But then I didn't really have one for spring, and it turns out that there's a lot of like witchy spring books out there as well. Anyway, I gave this book 4 stars. Did everybody say that? I may have already said that. I did really enjoy it. It was really cute. Then I read, oh, I forgot to put a book in as well, I see. I read It's Not How Good You Are, It's How Good You Want to Be. Also one of these books that's been on my list forever. I don't even remember why I added it anymore. And it's one of those like old school bestsellers. The world's best-selling book by Paul Arden is what it says on here as well. It's not a big book, and it is about like, okay, I guess it comes down to like a lot of people just do the things that they need to do and they're okay with that. And some people do the things that they need to do and they're confused as to why it's not really giving them like the career progression, those type of things. But then like it's about how good you want to be. This guy is kind of telling you like, okay, you need to really go the extra mile. You need to really like come up with new ideas, be inventive, be extraordinary to you can see from my expressions how much I like this book. It's a weird book to me because as well, like you can see it from the print. This guy was in advertising and it's almost like you're reading a pamphlet as opposed to actually reading a book. A lot of the scenarios in here are kind of pointed at the advertising world as well. Like I work in sales, so I guess it's close enough, but at the same time it's too American. It's too, oh, if you just work hard and do all the things, then you're gonna be good. Yeah, not my thing. I gave it 2 stars. It took me an hour to read, so at least I didn't waste too much time going through that, but not for me. It has good ratings on Goodreads, so I guess at least some people seem to like it. Anyway, moving on to, pretty sure I read this in, yeah, because June has only just started. I read this in May as well, the Eerlijke Vinder, Dutch book, as you can hear, because most of you probably don't understand what I'm saying. This book is called The Honest Vinder, and this is in the Netherlands. I don't know if this is a thing in other countries. I think in Belgium as well, because this is a Belgian writer. We have book week. Once a year, it's book week, and just reading and books are more promoted in the libraries. They've got like specific things happening, and there always is, when you buy a book, there is one like book that you get for free from your bookshop all around the Netherlands and probably Flanders, like the Dutch speaking part of Belgium as well. And I happened to buy a book during that week, so I got this book for free. And since it was only a small one, I felt like, okay, let's read this, see what it's about. It's just under 100 pages. And this was about a little kid, and there were like foreigners coming to their town. They fled from their country, but they had to go back home, even though that wasn't really safe. They traveled for months probably to get to Belgium from a country in Africa. I kind of forgot which country it was. And they come up with an idea to get them to stay. The children that he befriended, there's one that like is his best friend, and him, like the best friend and his sister, come up with an idea to get the family to stay in Belgium in this case. Yeah, it's interesting. Of course, it's written from a children's perspective, so they come up with ideas that you're like, maybe not the best idea as a grown-up, but it's written down in such a way that you're like, okay, now it makes sense why they think this is a good idea. It ends kind of tragically, but not fully in the way that I expected it to. So in 80 pages, they managed to tell a story, bring up like the idea about like foreigners coming to a country, everything that they had to go through to even make it to their country because it's just not safe in their own country. And yeah, having to deal with all of that, the way that a small town can unite to try and help them out as much as possible. Some of them because they actually care, and some of them because of the image thing as well, of course. But yeah, short read, interesting read. Not the best. I think I would give it 3 stars, even though I didn't rate it yet on Goodreads. I still need to put it in there. Anyway, lastly, 2 more books. And this is from a series. I already showed you guys the first one a couple of months ago, and I still had to read book 2 and 3 in the series, which I did. Once I finished book 2, the cliffhanger was too big for me not to buy book 3 straight away, so I read them in the same month. this book doesn't end in a happy way, and because you know these types of books normally end happily, I just had to know how they were gonna fix it, basically. So that's why I read book 3 as quickly. This one is called Unbordered Love, Onbegrensde Liefde. It's a Dutch book once again, and this one is Use Your Feelings of Gevoel. It's not as easily to translate these words because it's a few words that say more than just what the words say. Anyway, the first book was Friends with Benefits, Neighbors with Benefits, sorry. And in that book, Abby and Ferdy met and started this thing. A lot happens in book 3. Abby starts modeling, starts doing things, and there is this big thing that happens that is affecting her a lot, and Ferdy runs away from it, and of course that affects the relationship in a lot of different ways. And that's where kind of this book ends at a certain point as well. Like, the issue is fixed, but their relationship is nowhere near good because he ran away and he wasn't really honest about why the thing that happened scared him so much. So then in book 3, a lot happens. It's a series, so it's kind of hard to tell too much about what's happening. Abby's model career is going better and better. She runs into things that happen, sadly enough, when you're in that modeling career, I guess. But of course they get together in the end. I guess not a lot of you are actually gonna read this book because it's Dutch. Yeah, so it ends positively. And is this the most groundbreaking type of book series? No, it's not, but I did really enjoy it. It's a light read, but it does touch on some like serious topics, which is kind of nice. So both of those I gave 4 stars. And those are all the books that I've read over the last month, which right now brings me to a total of 23 books read, plus one more because I already finished one in June. 23 books read for the year. My goal is hopefully to get to 50, so I'm doing quite nicely. I read 7 books, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and a small one. 8 books over the last 2 months, but one of them, and I still feel like it was 2 in April and 6 or 7 of them then in June. So May. So May definitely was a better reading month. Anyway, I'm gonna stop rambling now so you guys can go watch some other videos or do something else. I hope you still enjoyed watching this video. Let me know if you've read any of these books. What do you read in spring? I'm curious to see if you guys have any like spring recommendations, even though we're kind of going into summer already, but maybe I can add them to my list for next year. Yeah, thank you guys very much for watching. I hope to see you in one of my next videos. Bye bye.